Yeah, no.
Hey Arunish, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Where are you based? I don't think so. We actually connected last call.
Yeah, actually, um it coincided with my daily stand-up call, so I couldn't
That's
connect.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I am based in Jersey City,
Oh,
right
you're in
now.
East Coast. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe one of these days we should actually try to actually connect.
yeah, definitely. Where are you,
I'm
basically?
in Long Island.
Long.
I
Oh,
come to the city once in a while, so
okay.
definitely we should actually connect in person.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
Let's see. Zoom call is
Yes.
open. Let's join. So I think Anmol, what we typically do again, like last week was, or rather like last to last week was our first call. Anybody who's joining new, we just open the floor, talk about where the other person is coming from, what attracted you to the AI bomb, and just a brief introduction about yourself. So give another like 2 minutes and we'll start. I just pinged everyone that the
Sure.
call is open.
Hello,
Hey,
hi
Arun.
everyone.
Hi, everyone. Good morning,
Hello,
good
Ramesh.
afternoon.
Hey, Yuvi. Hey, Saya.
I was a little worried with my time conversion to the time zone, and I was a little double checking on is it the right time to join
Oh,
this or if I missed it.
did a time switch happen?
No,
No,
I mean
I think lack of calendar invite, right? Your direct link, we have to manually convert.
yeah.
Okay. No, but the meeting invite, you should have the meeting invite in your calendars, right?
I got a forwarded
At
email.
least
That's not a calendar invite.
Oh, okay.
at
I have
least
to
I
check.
did not have one.
Okay, because the meeting invite went day before yesterday. Uh, that's interesting. I'll have to check on that because
Yeah, in
I
fact, I
think
did not have any.
Interesting. Is
let
this
me
a
So I used
recurring
the
meeting,
link.
Arnish? Have we set up a recurring meeting?
right now I'm doing like one at a time.
Okay.
So this is the calendar invite that you should have gotten. I'm not sure where to see the recipients. So if you look at
I don't
these,
know. I did not get that. So I was wondering. I just set it up for my
Yeah, same.
calendar.
okay, yeah, that's actually interesting. I'll take a look, and I think like after one or two of these calls, once we have like a group of people, like maybe like 30 or 40, then we would possibly create more of a recurring call itself, right? Right
Okay.
now, I just want to ensure there is cadence that's being set up. It's we are going in the right direction itself. So maybe that's the reason why we didn't see too many people because I had sent the invite to Derek also. One second, let me ask Derek to join. Okay, I think we can probably get started. And let me actually, for Anmol's thing, right? Like one of the goals that I have for specifically for this particular project, I want to ensure this project grows really, really fast itself. And right now, when we announced, we had around 120, 123 comments on this particular thing. The number of impressions on this particular announcement is increasing, and the rationale for me to doing that is attract more and more people from different organization. And if I were to just give like a little color, like four of the very large organizations or enterprises or other vendors are behind this one. We already got one sponsor already squared away, and I'm actively speaking to other sponsors for this particular project. And the sponsorship is more or less for growing the project globally, right? And you need like a lot of stuff in the back end, whether it's a website, it's a promotion, going to different conferences, right? So kind of doing it early stage itself as the project is growing. Uh, and we have around like 42 people on Slack. And again, based on different circumstances, not everybody is joining at this point in time. Last week, I think we had 8 or 9 people. I'm not sure. I do definitely would look at the email invites, whether it's going to everyone. Okay, that being said, Anmol, I think like you knew everybody else kind of met last week. Maybe if you want to talk about something about yourself.
Sure. So yeah, I I actually graduated from Carnegie Mellon last year, majoring in information systems management. Uh, Post that, I have been working at a very early stage startup called Lens AI, where we are building AI governance platform for healthcare AI companies, and that's how I came across OWASP AIBOM project. So we have one of the, I'm working there as a product manager, and I help, one of my roles is designing our features, talking to our customers. And one of those features that me and my CTO we were discussing were AI bomb, which, and then I started researching online and I saw that OWASP is coming up with this project. And earlier, because I was very much interested in responsible AI and AI governance in general, and I want to work in this field as well. I'd interviewed for a few companies like BNY Mellon and M&T Bank, and for preparation, I had come across OWASP top 10 LLM list. So I was aware of the work through that, and that was my introduction to the organization. So yeah, when I saw this opportunity that this is just getting started, so I thought that maybe something that I'm doing for my present role and something that I can do here, both can be a bridge and help both the organizations. So yeah, that's how I joined, and yeah, that's a bit about me. And like, I'm happy to have offline coffee chats or anything just to discuss more and learn more about you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. And did you get a chance to actually look at the project page?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And I think like this is more of a rough estimate what we want to accomplish. And I think how we deliver, it's up to us itself. And my intent to ensure like we actually scale quickly. Like last week when we met, we identified eight different work streams, and I'll send you a message on Slack itself, request access to a meeting minutes document. So that has like the meeting minutes from the kickoff call and meeting minutes for the series of calls that are going to follow, and also the work stream owners that we have right now, and also different work streams have like a different tab in a Google Doc. So want to ensure like we actually capture different areas of that one, and doesn't mean like we have to finish one only, then you can actually move to two or three and four,
Yeah.
right? So want to ensure like the work is happening horizontally across all the work streams.
Mhm.
Good. Again, thank you for joining. And I see my dear friend Derek also joined. Hey, Derek,
Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well.
welcome.
Yeah,
So I think we missed you on the last call itself, partly. It's my mistake, I guess. But one of the things we do in the initial few minutes of the call is like anybody who's new joining, we ask them to actually just give like a little introduction so that other people know where you're coming from, what your affiliation with AI and AI bomb is. And I know we actually spoke at length yesterday. So why don't you talk a little bit about yourself?
yeah, so very happy to be here with all of you, and apologies, I'm sort of in between some different things at a conference, so I might have to duck out a bit early. But my name is Derek List. I drive the AI Security, Safety, and Governance roadmap for the Data Model Factory at IBM Research Cambridge. So I'm based here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. As part of that work program, we're very interested in building out an AI bill of materials. So we've been doing some initial scoping work over the past several weeks. Really looking forward to collaborating with all of you. Certainly, I think we feel very strongly that if we can work together to set standards in this space so that we don't end up in a situation where we have sort of multiple schemas and templates floating around out in industry, that's a big win for all of us. So that's sort of the angle that we're coming at this from. Most of you are probably familiar, our sort of primary models or vehicle through which we bring Gen AI innovations to the market is the Granite class of models. We just came out with our new Granite 4 models. Please go check them out. And really looking forward to collaborating with you all on this project. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Derek. Okay, so I think last time we actually met, we actually identified 8 different work streams. I think Derek and Anmol, I think it's more for you. Everybody else was there. So we identified 8 work streams, and in 30 seconds, I'll actually share my screen to give you color, right? So what is important from those work streams is like work keeps on continuing in all those work streams in parallel, right? If there is linkage between two work streams, that's an exception, but I think like we can work independently on this one, right? And there are like few folks who kind of volunteered last time of leading those work streams. And my intent is to ensure the work stream owners itself, right, are kind of committed, can drive this particular thing. And for some reason, right, like any other project, if you're going to be away, if you cannot fulfill that particular role for some time, definitely let know and we can actually backfill that particular role. And there are like few other volunteers in that work stream. So let me just quickly share my screen. And if folks can just give me a thumbs up if they can see the screen. Okay, perfect. So from the kickoff itself, right, let me just give like a quick. So we actually met on September 25th. It's a Thursday. It was more of a kickoff call. And I'm pretty sure like many of you have already gone through this particular document. And we also have like a Google form to capture who's who, why people are aligning on this one, which is kind of captured here. I'm going to externalize this in a different Google Sheet or something eventually, but we have participation from Cisco, Wiz, Bosch, Hughes. There are like many more, and in fact, like IBM also now, right? So these are like the 8 work streams that we identified. That's going to be important. And I'm not sure if I don't see Ankit from Cisco. So we have Tiffany from Cisco, which is already doing some work on the policy. So that's one particular work stream. From a tooling, again, like Ankit from Cisco, along with Sai is looking to do that. There is another aspect for integrity. We definitely need to find an owner for this one. For formats, Dharmesh is actually leading this one. And again, this is something that I enjoy. I really thrive in this one is ensuring we can actually raise money and attract talent for this particular project. From a sponsorship, I'm doing it for a content. Again, Dharmesh also volunteered to actually look at the content. I don't see Manoj on the call. He is looking to work on the prerequisites. Uh, this was one of the major deliverables for this particular week. I do need to ensure like this is done. And last but not the least, UE is leading the best practices again, along with Sai and Ankit from Cisco. So, and again, like please chime into this if you think like there are other work streams that might be required, or maybe we should actually club these work streams together and maybe in one. But this is like the thought process we collectively looked at last time. So in terms of some of the task item itself was assigning owner for integrity. Don't have a person yet on this one, so we can actually roll it over to next week. Define initials, scope and deliverables for each work stream. I think it was for all the work stream owners. And I know some of you have already done some work on this one, so thank you. Uh, Prepare workstream updates again, like right now it's kind of very fluid reporting structure right now. Like I don't have like a PowerPoint deck or stuff, right? Like UV would probably know and Dharmesh would also know in AI Exchange, which is another project that we do, there is like a PowerPoint, and every workstream owner would actually provide an update on that one. So next time onwards, which is next Tuesday, we would start like doing that one. So there is more rigor and some more uh, like some more process baked into the reporting week after week, right? And circulate, of course, this is done. So let's see. I'll give like a quick update on the sponsorship itself, and I know I've spoken to Ankit and I've spoken to UV on this one. So kind of like a very rough draft in terms of the sponsorship deck. I'll quickly go over this one. Uh, so I definitely use Gamma for this one. Dharmesh, I think I used that one since we spoke yesterday. Uh, and the reason why I'm like showcasing this one right now is if you are a vendor company, if you know of companies that are doing work with AI and have some inclination to an AI bomb, this is something that we should pitch to those companies itself, right? Again, very standard OWASP AI bomb project sponsorship opportunity, and the rationale for coming in as an early sponsor is you kind of tag your name against this growing project itself, and then like I have like a background in go to market and sales also, right? So I would looking at project which actually give you like stickiness and immediate ROI, right? So these are like some of the things that I feel are important for. Again, I have Sai from Striker, Striker is a sponsor for another project that we do called AI Exchange, right? So similar in nature, you are looking for ways of getting visibility on that. So your companies, other vendors that you are aware of, definitely share this particular deck. There might be few tweaks that we have to do as we go along. So these are like two advantages for uh, companies, right? Strategic sponsorship, industry leadership itself, like getting your name out there that you're behind this particular initiative. I'm not going to go through all of this one. Definitely take a look at this one. I'll share the link on this one after this one. Gives you a little bit background about AI bomb, why it is important, where the regulations are coming in, and uh, like some of the advantages of being like the early or the pioneering sponsor, the global reach, again, being part of OWASP. We already have access to 40,000 plus people, like 400 different chapters. And with other collaboration that we have with other foundation, I think it's going to be important. And I think I was speaking to Derek yesterday, and also Dharmesh also talked about this one at the last call, right? Cyclone DX is not the only format that supports AI bomb, right? So we have to actually ensure, like, if you're truly building like a global project or global initiative, we have to actually work with other foundations also. Project roadmap, I think this is something we need to actually fine tune a little bit. These are my expectations. It might be, some people might call like it's too rushed. Uh, and target sponsor, and I just want to actually quickly go on to one particular slide itself, right? Why are we seeking the project sponsorship? So OWASP itself fundamentally gives support in terms of access to GitHub, where you can actually store your documentation or your code base, and also has access to Slack, which we are connected through, right? But that's where it stops. It doesn't have any support for building like a WordPress site or doing a PR or merchandise or going to different conferences, right? And including myself, the companies that we work for may not cover the T&E if you're going to a particular conference, whether it's locally or within US or maybe internationally. So that's where like the sponsorship dollar comes into the mix, right? So goal for this year, again, like we are in October, cannot stretch this more than 50K for the year. I would expect we might be able to actually hit this number fairly quickly and easily, but I think this number could definitely change for 2026 goal itself, right? And I see a couple of folks from big companies here, right? So definitely look at your organization if they want to actually partake in sponsoring this particular project. Again, two levels similar to other projects. Do want to build another level in few months, but right now we have like a silver sponsor, which is like 10,000, and gold is like 20K. Uh, I'll share this particular link with everyone. Definitely take a look in depth. And if you have any comments where maybe we want to actually change the messaging or add a little more color on this one, definitely give the feedback directly to me. Uh, so a quick moment on this one. Any questions, any feedback from anyone on the call? I know we spoke briefly on this one, but I do want to actually ask everyone.
Would you mind going back to the timelines, Arnish?
Just 1 second. One second. Yeah. Sorry, the font might be a little small. And the same timeline you should be able to actually see on the website for AI Bomb, which is this one, right?
Yeah, great.
So exactly the same thing is on this one, but
What for the core framework and industry best practices, what do you sort of see? What's the deliverable there in terms of how is that the stepping stone that gets us then to February when we're releasing the full standards and format specifications?
I think I'll probably have UV to actually chime in. I know it's just like the second week on this one. I have like some expectation that I have or like some plan on this one, but I would rather have like workstream owners to talk about those things that they're leading itself, right? And I don't want to actually create any bias on this one, but give maybe another like 5 minutes before we come to UV on the update on this one. And I think like, and it's not just the work stream owners which probably know everything, right? They're kind of leading it and leading it along with other participants, right? I think if you have specific suggestions on this, specific comments, definitely share on that on this call, or soon we would have like work stream, sub work streams call that would happen, right? Which is like 15-20 minute like catch up maybe once a week or twice a month, right? Well, I would actually share this particular deck with everyone. Definitely get access to this one. Let me. Okay. So moving on, unless anybody has any question on this one, let's move on to
Yeah,
this
I
one.
mean, just to answer Derek questions, right? I think it was on the February timeline for the formats and standardization, right? So maybe once Arunish, you are explaining the details on the work stream, I have added certain outcomes and goals for this particular work stream. So maybe when you're doing that, I can chime in for the answering specific to Derek's question.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So I'm pretty sure like people have seen the kickoff call minutes itself. For going forward, we would have like meeting minutes tab where we'll capture all these details. And there is another section we are looking at to capture like so resources and links like a project page, GitHub project, the share drive, which was stood up yesterday, the sponsorship deck, and also we'll start capturing all different links that are there out in the industry, right? We don't want to actually reinvent the wheel itself. What has already been accomplished, we would refer to that one and create more of a comprehensive project which actually cater to different needs. We talked about the meeting minutes. These are the work streams. I would actually polish this one in the next day or two itself, where it's a lot more clarity on this one. Uh, and if you were like a work stream which were assigned, you should see, let's look at one good example, right? So the format that we are capturing for every work stream is there's going to be lead and the team member which are assigned, and at the table below, or I think you can actually feel free to actually choose whatever format that is applicable to you. There's going to be vision for the work stream, what your intended goals are, what are the outcomes that Dharmesh talked about, the goals and the roadmap. And this particular thing kind of adds and builds upon for other work streams. I could not find myself doing it in tabular format, so I kind of used it more of a linear format itself. So feel free to actually use whatever format that works for you. Definitely, it needs to have like some vision, some outcomes, some goals, and the roadmap. And roadmap, try to think about the timeline, but for this week and maybe next week, we don't need those strict guidelines because things are going to evolve, right? And the last one is from the foundational stuff that UE is working on. So we talked about the sponsorship. Next up, I wanted to have focus on the prerequisites. Unfortunately, so Manoj could not join and he has not been responsive for some reason. So I'm trying to actually push on this one. Let's actually go through the format.
I can walk you through that. Are you going through the format or you're
Yeah,
kind
the
of
format,
explaining?
right? Yeah. No, I think
Okay.
we'll focus on this one.
Sorry, I did not catch that.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, got it. Got it. So, team, what from the formats or the foundational standardization that we're trying to build, right? So, of course, what UE is building will be somewhat overlapping over here, but eventually the outcome of this format is what is the core of the whole AI bomb itself, right? So the idea is like if I look at an overall vision for this particular work stream, right? That is to have that foundational baseline, which will eventually be somewhat consumed by the governance team and the policies team as well, right? Because tooling and the policies will eventually need to align to these foundational aspects. The core outcome, if I look at it like more from a tangible outcome, and Derek, feel free to add on to this. In fact, I would want your inputs on this because you're doing something on the same lines. Is a standardized format. It will be definitely in the form of some schema, the data mapping, the correlation between the fields, the whole mapping around it, and of course, what field definitions are must-haves, good-to-haves, and all the related taxonomy. Now, in fact, like the goals and roadmap might look a little bit disoriented for now, right? But what I'm trying to build is, at a minimum, right? Goal one is definitely the core spec finalization of it. The second would be from an interoperability. And when I say interoperability, right, it should be aligning. So, I mean, I don't want to reinvent a wheel that is not aligning to something which is an SPDX or a Cyclone DX. It has to be interoperable with, say, even some sort of an existing tooling that might exist. And then all those regular relevant fields are covered. Likewise, there has to be an interoperability from a policies perspective because otherwise, again, I mean, eventually the tooling will need to be rebuilt across when we kind of map those policies. So these three basically go hand in hand and they are all correlated. And that is where, I'm putting an aspirational roadmap somewhere close to the next 3 or 4 months that we should have that 1.0 spec ready by that time, somewhere close to Jan or Feb. And that is where we kind of started from an adoption perspective as well. So more of obviously the adoption will only increase with our advocacy and our initiatives, but yes, the foundational piece is what we need to be coming up within the next couple of months. Any questions on this?
I think Sai has his hand up.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Dharmesh. Actually, pretty clear. I was initially confused about what this whole format stuff is going to look like because there is a lot of overlap with the others. Probably question for Arunesh, because there is overlap in tooling, which I believe I want to be part of later to build, and then there is an also overlap in foundational best practice, which I and UV are should work closely together. How do you recommend we plug into this without because this work stream looks like there is decent cross collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, the initial, I mean, I'm Arunish, sorry, I mean, I know this was to you, but what I felt is that, probably workstream owners from foundational or from tooling, right, will probably need to collaborate for the initial few time period, right, where we lay these foundations and then, we integrate into the respective work streams, because then only it would make sense that all of us are aligned on the same page from a foundational aspect perspective.
Yeah. Just want to make sure this doesn't go in silo.
Yeah, exactly.
UV, you have your hand up.
Yeah, fully agreed with that. There will be minor overlap, and I think as we start going into each of these work streams, I think we will resolve that out. From what I'm seeing, these are several sort of verticals, somehow eventually going into foundational best practices. So what could be sort of one chapter becomes one whole, let's say, a publication in terms of format or in terms of tooling and policies and so on. That's how I see it. All of this
Right.
sort of having a very high level overview coming out of foundational best practices guide.
Mm, mm.
I think I think we covered most of the point, but I think like there's definitely going to be overlap, which is a good thing. So collaboration is going to be important on this one. But at the same time, we need to ensure like there is a very specific focus on those work streams. And again, like at the beginning of the call, there's no hard and fast rule that it needs to act independently. If we feel like this needs to be like merged in together eventually, or maybe sooner, we can absolutely do that one, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a focus in those specific areas, right? And I see like most of the people that we have are kind of in multiple work streams. Ankit, for example, is looking at two different things, so it's but obvious, right? So there may just one question for you. Uh, for furthering this particular thing, do you think you want to start like a sub work stream call and set up some cadence, maybe like 15-minute every week or something?
I will be doing that. Like from next week onwards, once I mean, this is what we were expecting at the initial, the second week basically. Going forward, I think, but since, I mean, again, my thought process is like kind of, into this, that right now the team is very lean, right? Should we not all collaboratively be on this? Because at least the foundational and the formats is the core of the whole project, right? Uh, at some point, there will be, these can work in silos, but at least for the initial 2 to 3 weeks, I think, since it is as 5 or 7 members, we should all work on together.
Okay, I think that's the fair point, right? And one of the things I was
Mm.
speaking to Derek and also Dharmesh, you yesterday, I'm
Yeah.
kind of purposely not, I didn't send anything on LinkedIn as an update because I want to ensure like the structure for this particular format happens. And I think we are coming closer to that one. And once we are
Yeah.
that particular position itself, we're going to actually roll out and then go out into LinkedIn and attract more and more people. Uh,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, based on the announcement, the engagement that we had, I think it's but obvious that we would attract a lot more people, right? So, which would give you enough
Yeah.
resources to work independently on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Thank
makes sense. That's fine.
Then let's look at the foundational best practices. I think UV.
Yeah, I'd like to go next also because we briefly spoke about it. Um, the vision would be to have a clear, actionable, and adoption-focused foundation and best practices. I'm highlighting on adoption-focused because how I'm seeing this is reaching the AI security leaders, the executives, which goes as a voice to the organization as a whole. And that's how I am seeing this because this will be the first guide sort of to look at. And yeah, this will be sort of amplifying the AI bomb project's voice as a whole to the community and further as well. This will be a starter. So because we are talking about foundation and best practices, it's going to define at a high level what should an AI bill of material consist, what are some of the methods that are there, sort of beginner best practices. From a outcome, I mean, to be very precisely on the deliverable itself, this will be a starter's guide with target on foundation and best practices with multiple sections. And like I said, it will be actionable. So somebody would be able to take this and say, what can I achieve? What can I do as a CISO in terms of actionable for the next 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, and so on. Having visibility about the organization's asset is going to be a key factor under that. I also had listed down threat and the risk taxonomy, but note there is that it can also be a section under the foundation and best practices guide itself. The second part, I'm also calling it the AI bomb authoritative guide v1.0, which should be a different deliverable inspired from the setup of the Cyclone DX itself, and that's something that can be planned for later. But the first focus would be on the foundation and best practices guide itself. From a goals perspective, like I said, and also from the timelines from you, Arinesh, that these are going to be the first sort of materials that is looked at sort of amplifying the project's voice, as we have today a certain number of followers and a messaging, and this will be the first thing that will catch eyes of executives and security practitioners, and that's where something that is more practitioner focused, and that's the need to establish best practices and enable multiple stakeholders, and that's where the goal is more aligned to being actionable, persona oriented. So the finalizing on the delivery priority itself, I mean, in this call, if we all align and say having the foundational and best practices guide as a starter is more important than the authoritative guide, we have achieved the number one item on the roadmap. Then collaboratively, we look at how we have a delivery format, and have a guide v0.1, and from there, from the timeline, I'm directly looking at having some feedback session and incorporating them into a v1.0 itself. I also added some references below, which is more coming from the minimal bill of material that is needed and the Cyclone DX authoritative guide itself, but that's more for side read. But this is the overview. I actually, from an outline perspective, there's a link that is there in the deliverables. I already sort of put down for all of us to look into, at least from what the outline of this foundations and the best practices document will look like. And one of those sections calls out very specifically on the collaboration with the other work streams, specifically on the format, schema, and interoperability. So that if you could also click on the link, Arunesh, the docs page, temporarily I have it. I think you should have access to that. So a typical starter preface about the project, scope, audience, and the copyright aspects. Looking at an executive summary, AI bill of material overview, threat landscape, the AI bill of materials lifecycle, the roles that we are talking about. How does one, I mean, the chapters 7 and 8 are about how best practice of producing AI bill of materials, consuming AI bill of materials, maybe a quick start template and some use case examples. So I took the privilege to also add this. Again, it accelerate things if we are all on the same page on the overall structure of the deliverable, then we can go ahead and start adding already.
Oh, this thing is really awesome. Good job for this one. You kind of made my life a little more easier. And I think like we can probably step towards this one across all the work streams. This is really exciting. And in fact, like while you were talking, I think an idea came to my mind itself, and I want to actually open it to the whole floor itself. What if we do a LinkedIn Live session or maybe a webinar talking about AI Bomb as a project itself? And we can market as whatever way we want, but I think either a LinkedIn Live or some sort of engagement where we talk about what we are doing collectively as a group itself, not the whole community itself, but like at least the work stream leads come on a specific call. It could be a recorded session also, but any thoughts?
Yeah, I would love to, like if there is a session, I would love to be a moderator. So it can be a Q&A kind of a thing where maybe maybe someone's asking you, what do you think is the vision of the AI bill of material projects, and maybe talk to some of the members here on what do you think from a practitioner's perspective with their own lens and so on. That's a brilliant idea. I think this should be more of a question and answer session to have that, let's say, a better reach. I like the idea.
Yeah, 100%. I think that will definitely increase the reach. 100%.
Yeah,
Awesome. So I think maybe in the week, today is 7th. I know in India there is like a holiday that's coming in, so we might lose a little bit of audience. So maybe after that Indian festival, maybe 23rd or 24th, we can schedule something. And again, I'm open to like ideas whether we record it or we do a live session. But I'll create like a starter document in terms of like what we want to talk about, right? Like what resonates with people who are going to be listening in. And I think in our respective areas, our respective network, we have like a very wide network itself. So we can actually extend the outreach itself, right? Like between one to three, seven of us, we might have at least like 30, 40,000 followers itself. So if we do that reach itself, it's going to actually reach a lot of people and get a lot of traction. Okay, so we'll action
Definitely.
on this one. I know last time we talked about, uh, sorry, the prerequisite work stream was something that we really want to actually do it. Do do we have anyone who wants to actually look at this one? Maybe pitch in along with Manoj.
Can you explain what does like on a broad level what does prerequisite actually mean here?
Dhamesh, would you remember like exactly why we defined?
Yeah, so Anmol, basically what I mean, Manoj had some initial thoughts around this, in terms of understanding the not the formats, right? But what do we get as from a current state of software bill of materials, right? What are those core fields that are already present, right? So before we get into formats, tooling, right? What is it that already exist into the market? And secondly, even from, say, for example, a language perspective, right? Let's say you pick Java, you pick Python, right? Any of these languages that we pick, right? There are specific set of fields that are always made available when someone
Mhm.
creates an SBOM, right? So before laying the foundations of AI bomb, right? Can we have that prerequisite understanding that what is already available, where is probably you can say like it could be a gap analysis sort of a thing, and that
Mhm.
can probably lay the foundation that where we need to do the future work or what is that gap that we need to fill in for. Arun, you can kind of add into it.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the idea, and
Yeah.
sort of looking at for organizations to start or for practitioners to start as well. What are the initial things? What is the initial
Yeah.
sort of preparedness that is needed as well? And that's where it is coming from.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah.
So Anmol, again, like I want to actually incentivize or encourage more and more ownership on this. Is that something you
Mhm.
can actually like to actually coordinate with Manoj and myself?
Yeah, initially, definitely. I also wanted to know what does integrity and quality mean uh, as a work stream here. And policy was one other thing, and tooling that I was also interested in. But initially, I feel like prerequisite could be somewhere I can contribute if
Awesome.
that's the need right now.
And are you part of the Slack channel? Slack
Yeah.
works. Okay, awesome. So I'll actually give you the name for Manoj itself. Let's actually set up like a mini group, whether it's on Slack or maybe email or WhatsApp. Let's actually focus on this one. I do want to ensure there is some extra focus on this for the next couple of days, because
Yeah.
next Tuesday I do need to ensure like there is update from all the work streams.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'll actually definitely connect on this one. I know Dharmesh, you already covered from a format perspective. Any color on the content?
Not yet. To be honest, I haven't got a chance to look into it, but
Fair enough.
yeah. yeah, this week I can spend some time on it.
Fair enough. And I think one of the things I'm kind of deliberately doing this is I don't want people to actually burn out, like because everybody on this call have a day job itself, right? I don't want everybody to actually kind of spend a lot of time, but I think half an hour, maybe 1 hour every week would be more than sufficient itself. Unless you're uh, like leading something which is more critical itself, the 1 hour might become like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, right? But use your own judgment itself and allocate the time as much as you can, but don't overdo it. Coming back to Anmol's question, I think like we can probably follow up offline on the integrity and the quality itself. Like
Sure.
one of the challenges that I saw with SBOM working group for Department of Homeland Security, where I was the co-chair, was we were talking about all this integrity, attestation, all those things, right? Which is an important who's signing off. Uh, there wasn't enough guidance that was coming out, right? And I think in case of AI bomb itself, right, we need to actually think about all those things. How do you know if I'm giving you AI bomb itself, right? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it have all the prerequisites? So I think the quality of that one becomes an important aspect, and quality also goes into other areas of attestation, like it's just not like the field, but it's also like who's signing off on a particular AI bomb, for example, right? Do we have
Hmm.
authority for that one? And I do not know everything in this particular space, and that's why we are kind of coming together to talk about what is available, what needs to be done.
Okay. So more sort of like a governance structure around it, or okay.
I think it's governance as and many more things. It's not just the
Yeah,
governance
yeah.
aspect;
Mm-hmm.
it also the
Mm-hmm.
quality aspect.
Quality. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I forgot to actually mention during the initial part of the call, forgive me for that one. So we are going to record all these calls going forward itself, and it's going to be automatically recorded. I don't even have to click a button. So anybody has any concerns on that one, this would go on YouTube. I just have to figure out how to actually do all the tagging and all those things, but it would be relayed on YouTube every week.
No problems.
No
Yeah, no
problem.
problems at all. Yeah.
Okay, so we have like a couple of takeaways from this particular call itself. Prerequisite is definitely on the critical path for us itself. Uh, from a sponsorship perspective, we kind of covered. I'll share that deck itself. And if you are interested, if you can actually partake in other work stream that you are not currently part of, definitely feel free and reach out to the work stream owners. Uh, um, Derek, I know you are kind of new onto this particular call. Today was the first time. Any immediate inputs, immediate guidance, how we can actually fine tune any course correction? Love to hear from you.
No, yeah, this has been great, and I really appreciate it. Let me turn my video off when I was getting some coffee. This has been great. There were a couple of things I just noted, and just to kind of throw out there. There does seem to be sort of some non-trivial overlap between some of these working groups. So just making sure that we're not duplicating work, or that if information is being shared in one working group, that it's being shared, passed forward in a timely manner, I think will be quite important. Also, it did just strike me that we've identified a number of potential deliverables. I think there was the bomb itself, sort of the schema template, the best practices guide, the risk taxonomy. And I'm just wondering um, if it maybe makes sense to sort of prioritize certain deliverables and just make sure we're mapping those up to the timelines that we're setting, so that our focus doesn't get watered down across all of these different these different pieces. Obviously, all very important, but I just wanted to flag that for everyone's consideration. And then something I just dropped in the chat. We've done quite a bit of scoping ourselves. So I have just an Excel document I can share where we've started to scope out some of the requirements for what we think should be in an AI bomb schema. And I also just have, we have a JSON that we've been working out of where we've been capturing those business and regulatory requirements. I'd be happy to share that in whatever the most appropriate working group sort of forum is. Probably just over sort of a Teams call the next time we connect. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Thank you.
I think this is very meaningful, Derek. For thank you actually doing that, right? And again, I'm known and famous for if people ask a question, I was like, okay, if you're asking that question, why don't you own it? So if I might request you, if you can actually give your first tab on this one, and feel free to actually reach out to anyone, Dharmesh, Yuvi, Sai, anyone, right? To ensure we are like really looking at the prioritization aspect that you actually flagged. So very important on that one because we don't want to boil the ocean. Like let's look at what is important on day one and day two. Awesome.
Quick comment, Derek. Derek, is it possible to share that in the Slack channel so that we can get started? Or
I think it will be easier for me to share this over Zoom. Let me talk internally with some folks on what can be
okay,
shared and what. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I know we went a little over. I do want to actually be conscious of time, like maybe allocate maybe 30-35 minutes for the weekly sync up. Any parting thoughts, any questions from anyone?
So we don't need to go through this, but I quickly, till Ankit is back, I put something in the tooling section.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
But once I'll let Ankit drive this. But high level, the idea would be align with rest of the work streams and develop some tools uh, here. And uh, uh, the goal is to build some tools, make them available to the community, like a CLI-based tools or SDK-based tools, showcase them, integrate that into a few sample projects in CI/CD pipelines, show them the BOM generation and how to rely on it. That's the idea. But again, much of this is very fluid. It really depends on what rest of the work streams are. So it's very early to call. So that's why the roadmap item, the first two things are we would finalize and align with rest of the work streams and then identify the initial set of tools. Only then we would get started on an MVP development. So this is like a little, we need to stagger this work stream a bit, uh, probably later half of this year, like the end of this year.
Arnish, you're on mute.
Thanks, Derek. So, Sai, just quick question. When we say like identify an initial set of tools, it's both commercial as well as open source, right?
So yeah, commercial and open source is something we would list them, like what's available in the market. But let's say there are gaps that are not aligning with our vision. We may quickly spin up few tools ourselves to show prototype implementation on how things should be done, right?
Okay, I actually like that particular thing itself, right? So it's not just like we are just educating, but we are also delivering stuff that people can actually use.
Yeah.
Oh. So that would mean like we would need engineers also to partake in this particular effort. Okay, I actually like this one.
Yeah. I'm an engineer myself, so can drive this and then we can recruit later.
Okay, so maybe when you say like identify list of tools itself, MVP, maybe you can elaborate a little further, like what does it mean by MVP itself, right?
Yeah, so my thought process there again, I wasn't thinking about listing tools out, things that are available, but I was thinking about what kind of tools we need to develop to implement what we think is AI bomb is. For example, let's say we come up with a spec, and let's say our initial thing is, why don't we develop a CLI application that can, for example, given in a Hugging Face repo, generates AI bomb for it. Right. So that's one, but that's the identification. What I meant there is brainstorming on what tools we can develop and what's already in the market.
I like the idea for the MVP, but I also am very particular about like giving choices to people to what to use, right? Let's say Intel is using, IBM is building something, right? Wiz is building something, right? So we cannot discount the fact like there are tools which are already existent. Our focus is more of educating for most part of it, like what is available itself.
Yeah.
And it's up to the organization to pick and choose what works for them, right? And not every tool is kind of created equal. we might create something, but even in our tool, there might be gaps, right? So it's up to, it is basically giving visibility what's out there, right?
Okay. In which case, I think what we can also do is showcase how to use those tools. Like actually take the tools, probably run them ourselves if they're open source available. See the output and also kind of provide a objective assessment of these tools. Like compare the weaknesses, gaps of different tools and how they are. For example, let's say our spec says we need to do certain things. Like for example, for quality attestation, we might need certain signatures or pathways in our schema. And let's say a bunch of these tools do not have it. That's something we can evaluate.
And that evaluation, I think, would be more point in time, right? Like keeping up with all those findings and may not be scalable. Let's say there are like 100 tools out there, right? We do one effort in say November, but December already going to be outdated because one open source project might say, like, we added like these two features. So given the size and given the focus itself, I think what we can also do is like piggyback on what has already been done. Obviously, all these open source projects would have already done some sort of diligence itself for practical purposes. Maybe having some sort of API call to actually feed in all that information into whatever you're presenting could be one approach.
Okay. Then I think the vision needs to be adjusted, right? I maybe misread the vision. The vision would be tooling is about the study of what's already in the market and educating rather than we developing something. Is that a fair?
I actually like the fact of what you mentioned from an MVP perspective. I think we can definitely tap into that one also.
Okay.
Can I add something to this, right? See, I mean, while I'm very curious and somewhat aligned on that MVP part, right? See, because so far, whatever in most of the projects that OWASP does, right, it is heavily around education and the specs, the standardization and stuff. But again, this looks to be, I mean, somewhat a different project altogether because look, I mean, this is tangible, right? This comes as a day-to-day operational thing for everyone. Now, what I just came up as a thought, right, while Sai mentioned around MVP, see, a lot of enterprise tools, right, whether it is enterprise open source, that is secondary, but they have their own marketplace or an ecosystem which comprises of plugins, which tools. That is where a bare minimum, bare bone OWASP AIBOM plugin can act, where within their tooling ecosystem. So I'll just take an example of Wiz, right? So Wiz has a WIN, Wiz integration platform, Wiz integration network platform, right? Where partners or the ecosystem can develop plugins using APIs of Wiz, right? They can build a repo or a report out of it saying that what is it that you want for your organization, for your regulatory standard, something of that sort, right? So then eventually it drives even from an adoption perspective. So this could even go into that direction. But yeah, I mean, I also think that this could be a bit distant right now. I mean, in terms of the roadmap, right? First, obviously, the foundational stuff, the format and all needs to be standardized, and then we should obviously start looking at the tooling aspects.
I think I picked up two keywords from what Dharmesh you mentioned. One was marketplace. The second was sort of an adapter. So I mean, I'm just putting those words here. I think this is a topic that will evolve. Adding on to what Arunesh you mentioned on the consolidation of open source and commercial tools. So it's going to be sort of at least a listing of the different tools, if not a marketplace on its own. Second, a potential sort of an adapter that is open source industry best practice, sort of a community built adapter that could sort of aid as a schema into any of the tools which choose to adapt that specific schema just by adding an extra plugin or an adapter to it. But I'm very curious. I think this is one topic that will evolve in the next weeks.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I like all the input that are coming in, right? And I'd probably call it like a more of a tiger team where we are likely progressing on this one, and every idea is welcome, and ensuring we actually look at, okay, does it make sense? Does it may not make sense, right? So actually on the call we kind of decide and pivot either way itself, right? And just one more question. I know we talked about like recording these calls. Are there any reservations if we sign up for a subscription for the meeting summarization and also like which would probably give like action items? Any reservations, anyone? Okay, I'll try to see if I can get OWASP to sponsor this particular service. Okay, so I think I would say like it was a very constructive call today itself. Sorry, we went over the stipulated time. Just one question. In terms of your availability and what you think the amount of time we need to allocate for these calls, where do you see like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and we'll go according to your inputs?
Is it going to be a bi-weekly meeting, or will it change to weekly from now?
So we are currently going to operate at a weekly cadence itself. And after maybe 2 months or so, we would probably evaluate whether we need to actually scale it down to maybe every 2 weeks itself, because then other work stream would have their own independent track. And I don't want people to actually spending like 2 hours plus every week, right? So we might pivot to maybe a bi-weekly eventually, but right now, as it's more growing, and my vision is to actually grow it like rapidly, that we probably stick to more of a weekly cadence.
Well, then I think initially we can have 45 minutes to one, because a lot of the foundational work is being done right now. So we need discussion. Once everything is solved, then maybe we can reduce the meetings to 30 minutes.
Okay.
I
You,
think to start with, weekly 1 hour is what I feel. Yeah.
okay, so we'll stick to like an hour, and I think we might scale it down, but let's keep at least for the next 4 weeks, keep it an hour. And we'll keep the same schedule like Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, I think we are 2 minutes over on this one, but thank you everyone. Seriously, I mean, like this is, I feel very humbled to actually bring all you people together on this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Arnish. Thank you. Thanks, team.
Thank
All right.
you.
You.
Bye.